Hey everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about zero waste, what it is, and why everyone should be aiming for it. Now, before you get turned away by the idea that everyone should be zero waste, hear me out. I'm not saying that everyone should literally produce zero waste, but rather we should all be striving for it. One of my favorite quotes is that we don't need 100 people doing zero waste perfectly, we need everyone doing zero waste imperfectly. So making small changes in your everyday life really does make an impact, and honestly the more and more you get into the zero waste movement in the community and just the lifestyle in general, you do start to reduce your waste more and more every single day. So I think that's what turns people away most often, is that the term zero waste can be blown out of proportion. People will think, how does someone actually produce zero waste when there's food waste, emissions, and stuff like that? So sure, we can all strive to create zero waste, but it is a completely unrealistic goal. It's just something to strive for instead of actually setting the goal for. The most important thing going into zero waste is to remember that every single person does still create waste. So the goal isn't to literally produce zero waste, because that is completely unrealistic. The goal is to reduce your waste going into landfill or incinerators or to the ocean, because that's typically where it all ends up, in one of those three places when you put it in your trash can for your garbage men to dispose of. So the idea is to encourage others and to build more of a circular economy by buying secondhand, recycling, repairing, mending, all of the stuff that goes along with that. So it is okay to compost and recycle and donate stuff that you don't want to other people, do clothing swaps and other things of that nature. The idea is that all of that stuff that you're still disposing of is not ending up in the landfill and creating actual waste, because recycling gives stuff new life, composting gives stuff new life, donating gives stuff new life. The point is to create that circular economy instead of a linear economy. And I'll throw up a picture here for you all to see and kind of get an idea about what it means to be a circular versus a linear economy. So this is why I prefer to just call myself low waste. On top of all these other forms of waste, you also have to think about the waste that you can't see. Things like emissions from your car or your plane, or even just the emissions of creating the things you buy and shipping the things you buy. So it's not just about quitting using straws and plastic bags, but it's also about shopping secondhand, choosing sustainable brands, choosing sustainably made materials, and things like that. The goal for zero waste is just to prevent waste. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to create zero waste, but rather when you're shopping, be more conscious about what you're buying, be more conscious about what you're throwing away. Before you throw something away, maybe think about, does this really need to be thrown away, or can it be recycled? Can I repair it first? Can I donate it? Go through the list of things in your head before you put it in the trash can. And this definitely does not lay on the consumer alone. While it does make an impact for us to choose to live this lifestyle and shop sustainably, it is even more of an impact for us to vote with our dollar and to actually vote in elections. So you can support companies that are already striving for zero or low waste. You can support companies that are using sustainable and ethical practices and materials. This is what I like to call voting with your dollar. Use your money to support the businesses that you want to stay in power, and don't use your money to vote for those corporations that you don't want to be in power anymore, or just producing the things that they produce. And just as important as voting with your dollar is to actually vote. Vote in your general, national elections. Vote for lawmakers that you believe in and that are actually going to make an impact when it comes to sustainability. So that was about all that I have to say on what zero waste is and kind of how we can strive for it. But now I'm going to talk about why we should all strive for zero waste. Did you know that only 9% of plastic ever created has been recycled? So even if you are doing everything properly to recycle, like taking off labels and rinsing and putting it in the right bin and sorting it, whatever you have to do for your community, chances are that plastic is still not getting recycled. Instead, they probably end up in the landfill, in an incinerator, or in the ocean. This is why, in my opinion, the most important part of zero or low waste is to reduce or eliminate things that you don't need. For example, if you buy a 24 pack of water every week, get a reusable water bottle, and just imagine how much plastic that adds up to that you can actually save. So we're currently doing a challenge called Futuristic February. We did one last year. You can check out this really cringy old video here. It's probably, I think it's our first video ever on cameras, but basically this is just a month-long trash audit. So what you do at the end of the month is you look at all of your trash and you see, what can I eliminate? What can I find in a different material? What can I buy in a different packaging? Just keep asking yourself all those questions to see how you can reduce your waste more and more. I think that goes especially with plastic, because plastic has the lowest chance of being recycled, and it also can only be recycled the least amount of times. You can check out this video right here about the basics of recycling if you want to learn more about that. So for me, zero waste is just doing my best to live sustainably. I guess part of zero waste is sometimes doing stuff that is a little bit uncomfortable or unnatural or inconvenient, but for the most part, try to stick to your normal routine. Don't force yourself to do anything, because that might scare you away from being zero waste, and we don't want that. So we still do produce waste, but we do really try our best to eliminate our waste, specifically plastic waste. I'm still going to do a year in review for Futuristic February 2020, so be sure to hit subscribe if you want to see that and see how much waste we actually do create in 1 month. Especially if you follow me on Instagram for a while, you've watched my videos for a while, you might have an idea that we don't produce any waste at all, but it's a little disheartening to see how much waste we actually produce still. So be sure to check that out when it goes live, probably the first week of March. But you're probably thinking, if just me doing all these changes alone, does that really make a difference? And the answer is yes, and I heard this story years ago. It's about this little boy walking on a beach. There's a bunch of beach starfish along the shore, and he's picking them up one by one and tossing them into the ocean. This old man comes up and says, "Hey kid, look at all these starfish. You're not gonna make any difference." So the kid picks up a starfish, tosses it back into the water, and says, "I made a difference to that one." And whenever I get down and someone discourages me about my small changes not having an impact, I think of this story and it really helps me to keep going. This story is the basis for my outro quote, which is, "The small changes you make have a big impact in the long run." That's something that really keeps me going as well, is looking at, yay, I reduced 1 plastic water bottle today. That feels really insignificant, it really does. But when I look at how long I've had my water bottle, we'll say 3 years. If I used at least 1 water bottle a day for 3 years, that's like 1,000 water bottles. I'm not gonna do the math. That's over 1,000 water bottles, just me. I've encouraged my mom and other family and other friends to use reusable water bottles as well. That number just keeps multiplying, it keeps multiplying, it keeps multiplying. The more people I encourage, the more people you encourage, and that's just water bottles. And it just blows my mind to think of how our small changes and our small actions really do blow up when we're all doing the small changes that might feel insignificant at the time. When you think about it as a bigger picture and not just the one small action you take that day, it really does help to give you a clear picture and see how big of an impact you actually have. You actually see that I did this in this video right here, which is how to reduce your waste while traveling. I just can't help it. It makes me so excited to see how the small changes we make, when they're multiplied and added together, how big it really does blow up, and it really does help put it into perspective about how much change you can actually make. So sorry if you think I do this too much, but I love doing it. It really helps me feel like my actions are really powerful. I think this does help inspire people too, especially when they're beginning zero waste, because they have that same mindset, like, just because I use reusable grocery bags, why does this make a difference? And that's why I just keep saying it over and over and over again, because our small changes really do have a big impact in the long run. I just want you to remember that your changes and your actions are not insignificant. And remember that these changes don't have to be overnight. I didn't go zero waste overnight. No one goes zero waste overnight. It is just incredibly hard to do so. And you don't even have to implement a bunch of changes at once. Do what's comfortable for you. I'll leave some blog posts linked down below, and also some other videos that I've made about how you can save money by reducing your waste, lazy ways to go zero waste, easy swaps, and other things like that. I will leave all my resources linked down below. But you don't even have to make a change today. You can start tomorrow. You can make 1 change a day, 1 change a week, 1 change a month, whatever it takes for you to reduce your waste little by little by little. It will start adding up. It will start getting easier. At first, I just started by recycling reusable water bottle, bag, utensils, and coffee cup, and that was it. And eventually, more and more and more, I got involved in the community. The more I did research, the more I was inspired to reduce more waste. I eventually went vegan. I make a lot of food at home to reduce my plastic waste. I meal prep to reduce food waste. I encourage others, and I really do think that encouraging others is one of the most powerful things that you can do when you're involved with the zero waste movement. So go at whatever pace works for you. I don't want you to get overwhelmed and quit. Make it fun, make it interesting, make it easy, and make it save you some money as well. Going zero waste doesn't have to be for hippies. It doesn't have to be hard or complicated or insignificant. And my hope is to just encourage you to take small steps as well. Clearly, I'm not perfect. I still fly. I still drive to work. We still buy things in plastic because we have to. I'm not saying you have to be perfect either. Just make some small changes in your everyday life to live a little bit more sustainably. So if that didn't encourage you, I'm gonna give you a few more stats, a few more numbers to kind of encourage you and give you some inspiration and hopefully put it into perspective about how much you might be contributing to. I will be sure to leave links linked down below if you want to do your own research and see where I got all of this information. So the average American produces 1,700 pounds of trash every year. Just one American alone. The US produces about 150,000 tons of food waste every day. This hurts me. Food waste in our households, schools, grocery stores, it all adds up, and it really, that's insane. About 30% of all US garbage is just packaging. If anything, try to buy things with less packaging. Even if it is still packaging itself, try to buy things that aren't bagged multiple times or aren't in like loads of styrofoam and other things like that. About 20% of all US garbage is clothing. So here are some things you can do to reduce your clothing waste. You can mend things yourself, you can donate, buy secondhand, don't buy new, especially from fast fashion brands. If you're interested in reading more about fast fashion, I'll leave a blog post linked for that as well down below, and why you should avoid fast fashion. Most trash in the US could actually be composted or recycled, but people just don't understand the process and how that can work. I personally think more communities and more cities should have composting programs because it is hard and complicated and weird for some people to compost at home. I think it would be awesome if our local governments could, 1, educate us and tell us how to recycle and compost, and 2, provide means for us to do that by providing the correct bins and the correct bags and the correct facilities. And I think there is so much more that our governments could be doing to reduce our waste. That's a whole nother topic. but also to just educate us about the waste process and encourage us to do it properly. About 42% of US greenhouse gas emissions are created by extracting resources, producing the goods, and even disposing of waste. 42% just that. That is crazy. So this is where it comes in. It's really important to try not to impulse buy, try not to buy new whenever possible, and try not to throw things away unless absolutely necessary. Recycle, compost, donate, mend, all of the stuff I've kept mentioning in this entire video. And there are so many more stats and numbers out there that you can just do some research for yourself on if you feel the need to. So that is all I have on this. I hope that you are encouraged to even just use a reusable water bottle if anything. Be sure to hit subscribe and stay tuned, not only for the future Stick February video, but I'm in the process of making a video about all the different easy, simple ways that you can reduce your waste in your everyday life. Everything from just using a water filter and a reusable water bottle to keeping your lights off while the daylight is out and other things like that. Just really, really simple ways to help you reduce your waste that require little to no effort, might save you some money, and make zero waste living a little more enjoyable and not so hard and complicated. If you have any other reasons why people should go zero waste or any other tips about zero waste, what it is, how we should do it, be sure to leave that down below for the rest of us. I love growing this community, getting involved in this community, and hearing from you guys as well. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you like this type of content. Of course, be sure to check out my Instagram and my blog and all the resources I have linked down below that I've already made for you. I hope you feel encouraged, and I hope that you remember that these small changes you make have a big impact in the long run. Bye guys. And on top of all this, on top of all this other, so, okay. Mochi, you need to be quiet. Yes, be quiet. More purple. I think I was looking down, I don't know. I was thinking about that so hard, I can't believe I didn't stutter. I'm gonna give you a few more statistics. Is that how you say that? Statistics? Stats? We're just gonna call them stats, because I can't pronounce that apparently. What's the word?